just the whole game was just kind of our whole entire season. It was the defense just keeping us in there, and then the offense making plays when it counted.
I think Steve Spagnuolo, defense coordinator, reminded us, like, I'm the best defense coordinator in the game. You can make the case he's one of the greatest playoff defensive coordinators in football, and I thought the plan he put together was spectacular.
Kelsey to say, you know what? I love my career. I wanna get married to Taylor Swift, right? And then he just retired. I don't care who it is. If Andy Reid's there, if Patrick Mahomes is there, I'm betting with them boys.
Well, you know, the goal's always been to get 3.
After years of dominance, the Kansas City Chiefs finally saw a dip in form in 2023. Patrick Mahomes had his worst year statistically since 2019 and threw more interceptions than any other season.
Chiefs, why are they struggling? You can't both be like below average or average talent at receiver and then have average scheme to go along with it. The offense isn't as good as last year, period.
The offense, once a well-oiled machine, faltered and dropped to 14th in the league in points per game, reflecting a unit with much more room for improvement. Oh, and despite all of this, they still managed to win the Super Bowl and confirm everything we already knew about this Chiefs team. The Chiefs are in the midst of a truly remarkable dynasty, and now with their revamped offense, they are primed for another run.
We got Hollywood, obviously incredibly explosive and fast and can make all the plays. You bring in the fastest 40 in the history of the combine. It feels like it's cheating with your style of offense.
This time, they're trying to achieve the impossible, the three-peat. In the history of the NFL, no team has won 3 Super Bowls in a row. In total, 9 teams have enjoyed back-to-back success, with the Patriots being the last team to achieve this feat during the early stages of their own dynasty. Their campaign to achieve the impossible the following season resulted in a 10-6 record, which was underwhelming for their standard, and a loss in the divisional round. In 2024, almost 2 decades later, we finally get to see another team give it a go. I mean, look, the Chiefs have been absolutely exceptional since Andy Reid took over. His 11 years in charge have produced 12 winning seasons, 8 consecutive AFC West titles, and 3 Super Bowls. It is a dynasty that looks well on its way to blast New England out of the water, helped greatly by the fact that they have the most talented quarterback to ever play the game calling the shots.
Patrick Mahomes is that dude. The Kansas City Chiefs receivers led the league in dropped passes. What does Patrick Mahomes do? He gets them to a Super Bowl championship anyway. Last year, they went to the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill, the cheater, who we know was a league MVP candidate in Miami this year because he's so electrifying. And without him, they won the Super Bowl.
Since Mahomes took over, the team has only secured less than 12 wins in a season once. And I mean, that barely came last year because of their rare offensive struggles. Mahomes himself, at the age of just 28, is a 2-time MVP winner and a 3-time Super Bowl MVP winner. And I mean, just to put that in context, that puts him 1 MVP award and 2 Super Bowl MVPs right behind Brady. And I mean, look, with the current age of Mahomes and just how good the Chiefs are, I really think that they can challenge that New England Patriots dynasty and eventually cross them as the greatest dynasty and team to ever set foot on an NFL field. That's the thing though, is nothing is truly guaranteed in sports. And I mean, that's what makes the NFL great, is it's just unpredictability and just how crazy the NFL season can be, and what makes it the greatest sport to ever be played. Because I mean, look, at the end of the day, there are 31 other teams that are trying to stop the Kansas City Chiefs in their tracks. But I mean, right now, it just truly seems like there is just some sort of undeniable just inevitability about the Chiefs and them just being like the Thanos of the NFL right now, that no matter what, they are going to just continue winning Super Bowls. Like, I mean, look, 2023 was a momentous year for more than one reason. Primarily, it did produce the Chiefs' 3rd Super Bowl win in 5 years and their 2nd consecutive title. But I think what the scariest part is the way that they got back to the Super Bowl is what truly terrifies everybody in the NFL.
No team has ever gone 3 in a row. You know, no team. You guys were already talking about that immediately after the last one. Like, yeah, we're going to run this back. I think Travis said or whatever. Nobody's ever gone 3 in a row. You guys already had it in your mind. And
it seems like when the moment gets
at his greatest, at his apex, he's able to relax a lot like Brady.
Like, if you look back at the previous wins, it's truly because of what Mahomes' excellence in just executing Andy Reid's offense at the highest level and adding his own sprinkle of unstoppable creativity. The Chiefs led the league in yards in every year between 2020 and 2022, and were 5th during their Super Bowl winning campaign in 2019. In that same campaign, they were just 2nd in points scored, before landing at the top of the leaderboard for their 2022 winning campaign. In 2023, though, it was a completely different story. Their usually unstoppable offense became difficult to watch at times, showcasing wide receiver mishaps and inefficiencies not previously associated with the Chiefs. Thanks, Kadarius Toney.
Two names that I do think are different, or that were adding to their success last year. Juju Smith-Schuster, even though not a world beater, for an offense with Bieniemy and Andy Reid and what they had there, and a quarterback like Mahomes, his role was very influential in that offense. It's not easy just to replace 900 plus yards in receiving. They had McCole Hardman last year too, before he got hurt late in the year. He certainly contributed. So I know they got him back and he's been banged up, but he has never been the same since he got hurt last year.
Like, I mean, their 22 points per game was only good enough for 15th in the NFL, and their 351 yards only landed them at 9th best. Like, I mean, looking back on last year, it truly was unusual to see the Chiefs go through all of these offensive struggles. And even more unusual to see them suffer embarrassing losses to the likes of Denver, Las Vegas, and Green Bay, and only just scrape past the Zach Wilson-led Jets. Like, I mean, looking back on it, I'm sure that last year was definitely the year the Chiefs would not have won the Super Bowl, but somehow they still managed to do it. But that begs the question, how did they do it? But to answer that question, we truly have to look at, usually it was Mahomes saving the team, to whereas this year, it was on the opposite side of the ball that did the winning. It really was the defense's turn to become the savior for the Chiefs.
You said, like, earlier in the year, you had to learn, like, hey, our defense can win us games. Like, but watching you guys win in a new way last year, I think solidified and upped the respect that everybody had for you guys from a football team. Now,
following a 2022 campaign where they ranked 17th in the NFL in points conceded per game, the Chiefs improved massively in 2023 to come 2nd best, giving up just 17 points per game. Like, I mean, that's crazy to go on a 5-point improvement from year to year. And like, that's what truly made the difference throughout this season and what made them capable of winning the Super Bowl. Steve Spagnuolo's unit was terrific. Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed headlined an otherwise under-the-radar lineup of defensive playmakers who delivered on Spagnuolo's scheme perfectly. Spagnuolo managed to scheme up more unblockable pressures than any other defensive coordinator in the league, resulting in 57 sacks, which was the 2nd most in the NFL. Like, I mean, they were constantly confusing quarterbacks with disguised coverages and frequently changing game plans, resulting in a 2023 Chiefs side that was predominantly carried by their defense for so much of this season. Like, I mean, hell, in the Super Bowl alone, Spagnuolo proved his expertise by changing his game plan to counteract the success that Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers were having in the first half. He specifically referred that he was blown away by Brock Purdy's ability to pick apart his zone defense, forcing him to revert to man coverage in the second half. As it turns out, that move worked wonders, helping the Chiefs secure the win. And look, I mean, with Steve Spagnuolo sticking around to run this defense, as well as the Chiefs re-signing Chris Jones on a long-term deal, like, I mean, there is no doubt that he's going to continue to be the leader of that defense. And I mean, all in all, Kansas City's defense looks like it's going to be legit for the next couple of years when you add in the other guys that they've added, especially like a slot cornerback that's just as sick as Trent McDuffie. I mean, him just stuffing Tyreek Hill in the divisional round of last year was insane to watch. The loss of L'Jarius Sneed at corner is tough given what a crucial player he was in 2023, but there is still a young group of talented corners to work with. And look, I mean, the reality of the thing is that they really were never going to be able to keep both Sneed and Jones. But I mean, at the end of the day too, the guy that's in the middle plugging up runs and just getting sacks nonstop on the quarterback, he's the difference maker that they needed to re-sign. Like, it was Chandler Jones who broke free to apply the pressure on Purdy in overtime and force him to miss 2 open receivers in the end zone, which, I mean, that's great. I mean, we all know how good this defense is with Steve Spagnuolo, and also when you have a guy like Chandler Jones. But what about the offense now? Like, look, it's safe to say that this offense was a very weak part of that Chiefs team last year in 2023. But don't worry, if you're any fan that hates the Chiefs, I'm here to tell you that they got better in the offseason. Like, I mean, they made several personnel changes to go and make their offense that much better in 2024. So shout out to the Bills for trading them who possibly could be another Tyreek Hill and Xavier Worthy this year. Thanks, Buffalo. Like, I mean, it's just crazy to think that somehow the Super Bowl champs probably got better in this offseason. But before we go over the good things that happened in the offseason, let's talk about the departures that they had this year. MVS was released by the Chiefs after 2 very up and down seasons. And while he was a big part of the issue at the position throughout the majority of the 2023 season, he did manage to come down with 2 crucial catches in the playoffs. One in the Super Bowl and one on a long pass to secure the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens. Like, it's no doubt the guy had his moments, but on the whole, he just was not a great asset for this offense. And I mean, the guy that they brought in to replace him honestly might even turn out to be better. The Chiefs brought in Marquise Hollywood Brown, who, I mean, like I said, could be a huge step up talent-wise. Brown has only managed to pass the 1,000-yard mark once in his 5-year career, but this is largely because of injuries and starting off in a very run-heavy offense in Baltimore. Over his last 2 years in Arizona, injuries to both him and his quarterback Kyler Murray made life pretty tricky, but they were definitely signs of promise in Arizona. And now in Kansas City with Mahomes and Reed, Brown finally has his chance to shine. Like, when you watch Brown play, he is a great separator who can win on the outside and downfield despite his smaller frame. He does come from the family of Antonio Brown, so he was gifted with excellent speed and a proven ability to make some tough catches. Mainly as a result of suffering from below average quarterback play in Arizona during Murray's injury, he is a massive upgrade over MVS and lands in the perfect spot to prove he is worth a bigger contract if they choose to re-sign him after this year. Like, I mean, for Mahomes, this is absolutely great news. With Brown upgrading on MVS in every way possible, as I've said before, he should have much more confidence when letting the ball rip in 2024. And as I said before, more good news arrived for Mahomes in 2024 in the draft when the Kansas City Chiefs traded up with the Buffalo Bills yet again, possibly to land another future Hall of Famer, who knows, and Xavier Worthy, the quickest man in the 2024 class of rookies. Worthy propelled himself up the boards when he notched a 4.2 140, which was the quickest in the history of the combine. And I get a lot of people are kind of clouded with this decision because a lot of people think, well, if he's the fastest guy in the draft, then he's going to be John Ross, and we all know that John Ross is no longer in the league. But this is a very different prospect in a very different situation too. Worthy plays tougher than his size suggests and showcases excellent body control and ball tracking ability. He's got excellent feet, which combined with his speed and twitchy athleticism should allow him to become a bit of a cheat code for Andy Reid and make him a very popular target for Mahomes. The Chiefs had managed to get by without Tyreek Hill since they traded him to Miami, but last year was the first suggestion that a proper replacement would be needed. And without a doubt, Worthy is that man. Andy Reid is one of the best and most creative offensive coordinators out there, and he will likely be very excited by the skill set that Worthy brings to the table. And look, I'm sure when Reid saw this guy's tape and just kind of watched him play, it reminded him of Tyreek Hill. And I'm sure if Reid goes and develops him into that role, then I mean, the kid's gonna have a lot of playing time this year in 2024. Having recognized they needed to finally find their replacement for Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs have gone on and doubled down and brought in a talented veteran in Marquise Brown and a promising rookie with a massive upside in Worthy. And look, with Travis Kelce sticking around for at least 2 more years, I don't know if they win the Super Bowl this year again, I could honestly see Travis Kelce retiring, but let's just go ahead and say 2 years. And hopefully if Rashee Rice does not get like banned from the NFL, they're going to have some good targets over the middle too. Like, without a doubt, this offense should be more explosive and more talented than in 2023. And I mean, that's just absolutely terrifying to say about the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions now. Of course, as stated before, the offseason antics by Rashee Rice are far from ideal and very concerning given the dangerous situation he landed himself and the others in. And I'm sure a suspension is surely on the way for him. Also considering that even though he's not getting pressed with charges, he also smacked that reporter. It really doesn't help with the development and just will hinder the offense slightly in the early stages of the season, but he has reported to OTA, so who really knows? He could honestly get away with it. We all saw Ray Rice get away with it for a while too. However, if he does end up getting suspended, this is going to allow for Worthy to come right in and just kind of be that plug and play player inside of that offense and allow him to develop more. And I mean, on top of that, once Rashee Rice does finally come back, it's going to be closer to playoff time when they actually do need him to start performing. And Rashee Rice is going to be healthier by then too, because he hasn't played a game. So I fully expect Rashee Rice to go off again this year when he comes back. And I think the best part about this for the Chiefs is that because they got stronger, it's crazy to say this, but a lot of their opponents that they're usually scared of got a lot weaker. That's not taking the Texans into account, considering that the Texans might be the best team to challenge the Chiefs. But if you look at the Bengals and Bills, they really don't look as intimidating as they have in the past. Buffalo has had to shed a long list of talent as a result of their cap struggles, resulting in Josh Allen piloting an offense that has no clear-cut number one receiver in a defense that has lost some big names such as Jordan Poyer and Tre'Davious White. And as I said before, you have Houston, but you also do have Baltimore, who could also be a little bit of a threat to the Chiefs and maybe the Bengals, even though, like I said a second ago, I truly don't think they are, especially with Burrow coming off his hand injury. We don't know how well he's going to be able to throw the ball. Like, I mean, Lamar Jackson has had his issues in the postseason, and Joe Burrow, as we all know, has had a lot more injury issues in the past. And although I truly do not believe the Bengals can challenge the Chiefs, there is one thing that is a matter of fact, and that's the fact that of all the quarterbacks so far, Joe Burrow is the one that has had the greatest playoff success against Patrick Mahomes. And as I said before, Houston is a legitimate threat to the Chiefs, but again, they're such a young team that they possibly could challenge the Chiefs, but at the end of the day, it's gotta be that experience that would get the Chiefs past the Texans. Just also going into Arrowhead in the postseason is a really scary thing to do, so I mean, again, I really think that the experience that the Chiefs have in the postseason would help them prevail over the Texans if it did come to that in the AFC Championship game. If you flip over to the NFC side, San Francisco remains strong and are favorites to win another NFC title, but you have to go back to 2014 to find the last time the Niners defeated the Chiefs. And I mean, it's crazy to say this because since 2014, Kansas City has won 4 times, including in 2 Super Bowls. Like, I mean, whichever way you look at it, Kansas City is looking pretty good to achieve the impossible and win the three-peat. They have somehow managed to improve since winning their 2nd consecutive Super Bowl, and there isn't anyone in the NFL that can rival a core of Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Steve Spagnuolo, and Chris Jones. We are in the midst of another glorious NFL dynasty, and the 2024 season Super Bowl is Kansas City's to lose. So even though you may hate the Chiefs, enjoy it while you can, because we may never see a dynasty this strong again. But I want to know what you guys think. Can the Chiefs get it done this year, and can they do the three-peat? I mean, honestly, for me, I think that they can, and if they do achieve this three-peat, I think Andy Reid and Travis Kelce would both be done and retire on that high note, but who knows? Maybe they could try and run it back for a 4-peat and just become the greatest dynasty of all time. I don't know. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.